Hello and welcome to the Wednesday Mega Group. My name is Linda Sylvester and I will be your host for the Mega Group. Our group today is scheduled from 3 to 4:30 p.m. Before we begin, let's go over some information about this webinar. This group will operate in webinar format. You will not be able to turn on your video or microphone during this Mega Group. You were counted in attendance as soon as you logged in. You do not need to follow up with us regarding attendance. If you lose connection, try to rejoin as soon as possible, and you will still receive your incentive even if you get disconnected from the webinar. All right, let's begin. We have a very exciting group ahead of us today. Let's go over today's goals. So, first we'll have the opening ritual. Then we'll have program reminders, first payment, activating your card, and spring break. Then we'll have Friends of Tap with Messiah Ramkissoon. Then we'll have the showcase of your art from the small groups. We'll have our Borough Storytelling Series Staten Island film premiere. And then we'll have a Q&A with members of the Borough Storytelling Staten Island team. We'll have an animation industry guest speaker for today, Jessica Bascom. And then we'll have our closing ritual. All righty, it's time to introduce my co-host for the Mega Groups, Lisa Clementi.
Thank you, Lyndon. So excited to be here with you and everyone. So welcome. Here we are can you believe it, Lyndon? We are in our 5th week of this programming. So we are right in the middle. So what better way to get started with an opening ritual, but to ask all of you, in one word, describe your experience in the creative engagement workshop so far. We're going to share a link in the chat so you could click on that and you're going to have the opportunity to put in that word and we're going to see it come alive in a word cloud. Super exciting. Yes. So again, and here we are. It's live. It's it's growing. All right. What are we seeing here so far, Lyndon?
So far, I'm seeing we're having some fun, happiness. It's amazing, creative, and it's a great experience.
Wow. Look at this word cloud growing. Great, awesome, grateful, seeing magnificent. What word would you put in there, Lyndon?
Well, I think that it would probably be fun.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that, Lyndon. It's right in the center of our word cloud. It's the biggest one so far. Wow, what else do we see here? Awesome, inspiring. Some of the words are a little too small. I can't read.
Yeah, engaging, entertaining.
Cool. Wow.
Yeah, happy.
What's that, Lyndon? Sorry.
Happy.
Happy.
Yes.
Amazing. Yeah, I feel this energy from this cloud. It's amazing. Thank you, everyone. I think, and we've landed. And Lyndon, your word is right in the center there. Fun, followed by interesting and amazing, and everything else in between. Thank you, everyone, for joining in on our opening ritual. So we're going to jump into reading off our program announcements. Super excited to get us started here today. And this is a jam-packed group, right, Lyndon? So here we are with some program reminders about incentives. If you have not yet received your incentive card, please email incentives@theanimationproject.org. And if you happen to register for this program late, don't worry, your card is on the way, but it will be delayed. And funds for groups attendant from the beginning, from February 22nd to March 11th, which was including our orientation, were loaded on your card on March 17th. Payment for any makeup classes will not be loaded to your card until May 5th. And if you have received an email with the activation codes and instructions back on March 10th. And you may also look up your activation code on our TAP website using the password program1. Now, when it comes to activating your card, online activation, you do not need your activation code. For phone activation, however, you do need the activation code provided. Now, a reminder, this code is not your Social Security number or any number related to your Social Security number. This is a randomly generated 4-digit code unique to your card. So when you call to activate your card, you will need the activation code.
Thank you so much for that information, Lisa. Now it's time to go over spring break. So TAP is closed next week, Monday, March 29th through Friday, April 2nd. So please make sure that you mark your calendars. There will be no programming that week. And TAP believes in working hard and playing hard. So enjoy your time off.
Yes, we really want you to enjoy your time off. Now, if you missed a session or missed a group or have incentive questions, our best resource, as always, is our website, www.theanimationproject.org. And in the chat, you'll see a link to our FAQ page, and that will take you to a place where there's so many answers to hopefully the question that you may have.
And who to contact. So if you have any questions about incentives, you can reach out to incentives@theanimationproject.org. If you have any questions about scheduling or attendance, you can reach out to program1@theanimationproject.org. And if you want to make up a session, you can reach out to program1@theanimationproject.org.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Lyndon. And now it is our time where we get to come to our Friends of TAP. So this week we will be welcoming our Friends of TAP, Messiah Ramkasoon. So excited to welcome you here today, Messiah.
Happy to be here. Thank you for having me. So yes, peace. As she stated, my name is Messiah Ramkasoon. And I just want to start off with some words. Teamwork is not a flag. Dream chasing is not a swag. Sweat and tears don't flash and glow. Dedication is not a fashion show. Through actions, let your passion show. Either pull or catch, pass, and go. Cameras are not how deeds are recorded. Loyalty seeks not to be seen or rewarded. What man does can't beat what the Lord did. He makes us man up, like from being a spoil kid, whether pocket change or numbers on the stock exchange. Remember, your purpose can't be spent or purchased. To receive, you must lend a service. A pure heart extends the furthest. Whether you choose to take on the title or nameless, you can't be idle and aimless, yet well off simultaneous. A working man is the only man that's worthy to look at God and demand his mercy. Walk through quicksand and withstand adversity. Give thanks, not just on your B-Day anniversary, but for each day on this planet Earth. To work a plan, a man must plan his work. Wealth does not make your physical invincible. Never exchange your principles for principle. What you don't know can hurt you possibly. Remember, simple is a symbol of virtuosity. Never follow man, because man changes philosophy quicker than earth changes velocity. A man who appreciates less deserves more. The greedy shall digress, and return poor. To be a great king, first one must be a good prince. To spread your wing, first you must leave your footprints. To be a great queen, first one must be a good princess. To spread your wings, first you gotta handle your business. Principles. So that name that, I wanted to share that with y'all. Peace. My name is Messiah. I wish I could see y'all faces for the young people who are on here, but it's all good. We just gonna, build off energy. I serve as the senior director of programming for an organization that was formerly known as Friends of Violent Academy. We recently changed our name to the Youth Justice Network. We work with 16 to 21-year-olds coming out of incarceration, mainly young people on Rikers Island. I've been working on Rikers with young people since 2012, but doing work with young people who've been incarcerated since 2007. And so this is something that is not so much of a job to me, but it's a passion. It's my passion. Why? Because I come from some of the same communities as you come from. I've engaged with some of the struggles that you have engaged with, and whether or not we've shared a similar life path in terms of detailed experience, right? I am a product of the same struggles that you're a product of. So I'm one of the young people who was blessed to be able to go to college, right? I went to Howard University, and I was blessed to get to Howard. It wasn't an easy journey going there, but I was blessed to be able to have a focus and a certain level of determination that was instilled in me to know that I had to commit to finishing what I started. But like I said, it wasn't easy, right? And so one of the things I want to talk to us while I have this little bit of time is about success. I'm sure if I asked you guys to raise your hand, if I could see you, I'm sure everybody would raise their hand as that they want to be successful, right? We all have somebody that we look up to, who we admire, who we think is cool, who we think that have achieved something that we would like to possibly achieve one day, whether it's because of their impact in society, whether it's because of their financial lifestyle and just the way that they live, and it seems attractive, and you might want to emulate that in your own life. That's okay, right? It's okay to want the best because you deserve the best, right? But I want you to ask a question to yourself. I want you to ask if you are currently embracing, in terms of what you're doing every day, what it takes to be successful, right? Because success doesn't fall out the sky, especially for Black and brown people, Latino people coming from the communities that we come from. Success doesn't just fall out the sky, right? We weren't born into privilege, right? Most of us were born into the struggle and have to find our way out of it. But how do we find our way out of it? It's not a magic trick. It's no shortcuts to success. Like I said, it's no magic trick to getting there. It takes discipline, right? A lot of us want things, but we don't want to commit to discipline. So I want us to say that if you're serious about whatever it is that you say that you want out of life, whatever it is that you say that you want to achieve, that you want to attain, you have to commit to discipline. Simple things like being able to get out to bed in the morning, right? There's some people who just woke up. There's some people who's still in bed right now, right? But there's also some people in the world who've accomplished a lot and dominating because they're waking up to be successful every day while we sleeping, right? Success is being able to know what's good for you and what's not good for you. You got to look at the people around you, right? The people around you who say they want to be successful, what do their lifestyles reflect? Do their lifestyle reflect a path that's going to lead them maybe back to prison, maybe to an early grave where the parents got to bury the child? No parent should have to bury the child. The child should be burying the parent, right? But you got to look at the lifestyle you live in and ask yourself, does my lifestyle reflect the success that I want to achieve? Because in order to get the success, you got to be able to be alive to get there, right? So you got to think about it. You think about your social media. You think about the way that you reflect yourself, right? We live in a time where police sit around and they watch your social media all day. They don't have to spin your block and sit down on your corner to know what's going on. All they got to do is go to your Instagram, see who you follow, see what gang signs you're throwing up, right? See what colors you're wearing, right? See what guns you got in the picture. And they could sit and watch you for weeks, for months, until they're ready to build a case, then they come for you, right? So I want you to know there's no easy way, but you got to value yourself, man. And once you've been through certain things, right? If you've been locked up before, it's like graduating high school. If you graduate high school, you don't want to go back to the 9th grade. So if you've been through certain things, you got to make sure that you're not walking in circles, but that your lifestyle reflects a path that's moving forward, not walking in circles, but moving forward. But to do that, it starts in the mind. It starts with your way of thinking, right? They say, as a man thinketh, so is he. Same for a woman. I'm sure that there may be women here. As a woman thinketh, so is she, right? So we got to make sure that we start getting our mind right, right? And here at the Youth Justice Network, where I work, you know, we have a mantra that we tell young people: alive and free. So when they come home, we support them with all the services they need, whether it's the mentorship, whether it's the employment or connecting them with some type of training to get employment, right? Whether it's the educational piece. If you say, yo, I want to finish my GED/HSE, right? We create those support systems. But one of the main things that we emphasize that you have to embrace for your own self is to think alive and free. But it's easy to say alive and free, but you got to look at your lifestyle. Like I said, you got to look at the people you surround yourself with. Some of these people, you might love them. There might be people in your own family. It might be your first cousin. It might be your brother, right? But you got to know when it's time to separate yourself from certain things that don't complement the success that you want to achieve, right? Everybody look up to celebrities, right? We look at people like Michael Jordan. People spend a lot of money for his sneakers, right? But Michael Jordan was a kid who didn't even make his high school basketball team. And when he got denied from his high school basketball team, when he first tried out, he went to practice, man. While everybody was hanging out and partying and da-da-da and drinking and smoking, he was shooting 1,000 shots a day in that gym. So we see Michael Jordan, who won the championship, but we don't see the Michael Jordan who was in that gym where there was no cameras, practicing and busting his ankles to be able to achieve the success that make people want to spend hundreds of dollars for his sneakers and make him one of the most paid athletes in the world, and what some may call the world's greatest basketball player ever, right? So success comes with what you do when people don't see you, right? What you do when the cameras are off, the hours that you put in. Like I said, being able to get out of bed in the morning, setting a certain tone for your lifestyle in terms of standards that you live by. Because the success that you want, like I said, it's not gonna fall out the sky. So that's my message to y'all. I know it may be difficult for some of us, because some of us may be very comfortable in our way, but nothing great ever comes from a comfort zone. I'm gonna repeat that again. Nothing great ever came from a comfort zone. You got to get very uncomfortable to be able to achieve what it is you say you want to achieve out of life. And you can't just think for yourself. You got to think about your family. You got to think about how you could become the one to bring that blessing back home, not just for you, but your family, to show your family something different. If you got little brothers and sisters, you want to lead by example to show your little brothers and sisters there's something great out there. And a lot of times we use the internet, right? We got these smartphones and we just go on Instagram. We go on Facebook. But it's so much you can sit on YouTube and learn. You could sit on YouTube and learn how to create an app. You could learn how to build a website. You know how many people is out there making hundreds of thousands of dollars every year just creating apps and websites, and they doing it in their pajamas. All they need is Wi-Fi and a laptop because they learned a skill that works for them. So I want you to really think about how you can think bigger and how you can exercise this $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion thing on your shoulder, this vault of assets that sits on your shoulder called the mind, right? Think about how you could tap into it and exercise it in a way that you've never done before, and how you could bring those values back home to your family and make them proud and show them something different, and how you could really live to see a beautiful life, because it's a beautiful world out there, right? Outside of your block, outside of your neighborhood, there's so much more out there. But you got to think bigger. It starts here, man. I could want it for you, but you got to want it for yourself. But it's beyond just wanting it. You got to put in the work. Like I said, it's not going to fall out the sky. You got to put in the work, and you got to be consistent, because the day you plant the seed is not the day you reap the fruit, right? Some people give up when they feel like it's not moving fast enough. But nothing worthwhile ever came from the fast life, man. Anything that's moving too fast eventually crash. So I want y'all to keep that in mind. Again, my name is Messiah Ramkisoon. I'm also a poet. I'm also a hip hop artist. You see my name on the screen. That's also my social media handle for Facebook, Instagram, whatever way I can support you guys, whether it's via the Youth Justice Network, whether it's being able to give you some wisdom in terms of your own life path. Don't hesitate to reach out to me, all right? I'm your brother, I'm your servant, and I'm here for you in whatever ways I could be of support. Thank you for listening. Peace.
Messiah, wow. Thank you so much for taking time to bring your words, your wisdom, your rhythm to all of us here today. And you spoke about the energy. We can share the energy back and forth. And I just wanted to take a moment to share some of the energy from our participants. They're sharing how magical your words are, how on fire, how true they are, and how inspiring. And want to make sure I'm trying to get them all in here. I'm bubbled up with all this energy. So just wanting to bring that back to all of us here and how appreciative they are for your words. So thank you.
All love, all love. I hope something I say today you can hold on to, because it's a real world out there. And you got to understand that they're not playing games with us, man. So we can't play games with this life. We got to take charge of our own lives, because if we don't do, there's penitentiaries out there waiting to take charge of our lives if we don't do it, right? And we go, and you're worth more than a penitentiary. You're worth more than 3 hots in a cot. So I just want you to value yourself, love yourself, and by doing that, your actions going to reflect that. Peace.
Thank you, Messiah.
Thank you so much again, Messiah. It's always great to hear your words of wisdom, and to see you again. It's been a while, and you're a great friend to Tap. And, again, it was amazing hearing from you.
Thank you, brother. Good to see your face, man. Good to see your face as well.
Yes, always, always.
Peace.
Wow, we're going to take this energy, Lyndon, and we're going to
lots of energy. Yep. So it's actually time for us to introduce our showcase from our small groups.
Wow, congratulations to all of our groups. Amazing 3D modeling work of your characters. Fantastic.
Amazing, artwork, everyone. It looks really great, and all the characters look exactly alike. Alrighty, so it's time to introduce the Staten Island Borough Storytelling Series premiere.
Ah! Ah!
Wow, again. Thank you so much for sharing your creativity in our TAP groups in the Borough Storytelling series. Wow, that film was amazing.
Yes, I love that film. It cracks me up every time I see it. So it's actually time for us to head into our Q&A. Let me introduce the team that worked together on the film. You have Brandon, Steph, and Carolina and Sarah.
Hi, everyone. Brandon and Lyndon and Sarah and I co-facilitated this group, and Carolina is brave and excited enough to introduce the film and her experience working on it with us. And we have some questions for her. Carolina, would you like to kick us off with anything about your process in making this film with the group?
Yeah, it was, as you all saw, like the created by, it was quite a big group, I would say. I think it's the biggest group that I've worked with, at least. And it's been interesting to work with everyone and kind of seeing one common like final product come out with so many ideas together combined. So yeah, really excited.
All right, I actually have a question for you. So, what were some of the challenges that you faced when making this?
I think the technical portion, we would have to ask Brandon and the other animators about it. But as for the process, just maybe the brainstorming, let's start there. I think it's always hard to kind of merge everyone's ideas together and how to do it creatively without being like too redundant, or just the time limit is also a constraint. So I think that part has been most eye-opening for me.
Yeah, definitely. I could remember that. It was a process, but we made it happen.
Right, right.
What were you most proud of in this process of creating this one?
I don't know if it was very yeah, I think it was a few seconds, but like basically there was a part where the trash, that was actually a lot of just details there, like the newspaper, the ferry ticket, and there was a lot of Staten Island references throughout, and just in that, like maybe you thought it was just trash, just like oh, it's just a scene. It actually had a lot of thought into it, so I think that was the most fascinating part to me.
Yeah, I think it's really cool when those references are shared and those moments are talked about, because they're often missed when you first watch it, and then you notice like, oh yeah, there are those details there. So it's really cool. What was it like working on the film, not having spent too much time in Staten Island, or you're not from Staten Island? What was that process like of having to come up with a story that honored the borough?
Yeah, I think there were a few Staten Island natives in the group who kind of had their own personal experience and then told us about that. And then it was a lot of research, right? Because all of us were from Staten Island. That was interesting to see like the differences between boroughs and how to highlight. And I feel like the other part is probably we had some interesting Google searches, and and I think it's just all about just also watching videos about them, and it's just picking out, oh, which elements do we want to include, kind of best represents an island, and then we decided as a group collectively how to do that. I saw a question. It was like, it came from a participant. Can I read it? It was like, I did not understand the gray clown behind the girl. Actually, one fun fact is that when we were discussing about this character, we actually didn't want them to have a gender at first, but then to make things easier for the newspaper that was like, oh, the grandson of a clown made it to SNL. So that the yeah, that's number one. And number two, the clown was basically a ghost. So and you saw the picture falling out. That was basically trying to say that this like ghost spirit was still there, and they like kind of came out to encourage them to sign up for this competition. And then 10 years later, you saw they were very successful. Yeah.
There's another question in the Q&A. How much time did it take to get the final result? That might be a question for Brandon as far as the tech side, but for the groups, do you want to remind this group how long the process was for us as a group?
Yeah, it's a month. So I forgot how many hours that equates to. Steph, do you want to tell us?
Can't do math that fast, but it was 4 sessions and each were 2 hours long. Is that right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. 8 hours. Then, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
8 hours. Yeah.
2
4 times 2. Right. I think. Yes, we got it. And then, yeah, Brandon, how long did it take on the technical side?
Technical side, after the initial 4 sessions, it took some time to render. I split it up into 3 scenes. Each, because the film was 24 frames a second, each scene had 720 frames. And each of those 3 scenes roughly took around a whole day of nonstop rendering to do. So I would set up the scene, finish the animation, make sure the settings are okay. I would render it, go to sleep, wake up the next day, and then check to make sure there were any errors. And there were a bunch. We had some issues with like during the trash scene, those little rocks or pebbles that were on the ground for some reason, they were cut in half for no apparent reason, and I had to just recreate them and reanimate them. And then some other issues came up later with like camera positioning and things like that. So all of that, the rendering time plus the re-renders, I'd say it took me around maybe an extra week. So a total of 5 weeks, maybe 5.5 weeks.
You know, that actually reminds me of something. Remember how when we were doing that, when we kind of were doing, when Brandon, you were doing the revisions on them and then just like changing stuff around. Remember the positioning of the ice with the hand? It was like it was like basically this hand was like this, but the ice was not dropping at all. So it was just like, yeah, but that was funny. I think that was like
yeah. We did some awkward positioning in the scenes, and we ended up going off the storyboard a little bit and repositioning the ice cream so you can have a better view of the logo.
Yeah, but those are really fun kind of moments that happen when you're in a group and then working with the other animators on this. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so helpful to have so many eyes on the project because those things can get missed, and it's fun to think about like logistically, you know, and gravity wise, you know, you noticed that was such a good observation, like, you know, in the real world that ice cream would have fallen over. So it's those things that like get pointed out a lot when you're watching it, and can actually distract from the story. So fixing those things and making them make sense really brings the attention back to the actual story being told. So that was a great catch. I think we're at time now, but thank you, Carolina, so much for speaking to your process and for sharing your experience with us all. And it was a pleasure having you. And I hope some of you join us next time for next month's Bro Storytelling series.
Yes, please do join us. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, TAP team, and thank you so much, Carolina. It was great again hearing from you, and yes, please join us for the next Borough Storytelling series. You won't regret it.
That's right, Lyndon. Thank you all so much.
All righty, so it's time for me to introduce Kat Goloski, TAP's Industry Outreach Advisor.
Hello there, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thanks so much for that wonderful Q&A earlier. Also, thank you so much to Messiah for his beautiful words on teamwork, remembering one's purpose, getting out of one's comfort zone. It's really very inspiring. Also inspired by the incredible work that each of our wonderful participants have contributed to our showcase and by this, once again, this Q&A. So you should all be very, very proud. Thank you. So without further ado, in addition to the previous exciting programming that we've had, it's my pleasure to welcome the wonderful Jessica Bascom into our Zoom room space today. It's such a pleasure to have you, Jessica.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for having us and for sharing this today. Jessica is a very talented compositor who works in our industry today. And Jessica, I'd really love for you to share your story as to how you got into the industry, if you don't mind talking through that and sharing that with us.
Yeah, of course. I'm originally from Florida, so I'm from Miami, Florida, but I went to school at Full Sail, which is in Orlando. And I guess what inspired me the most to even get into the industry was originally video games, even though I mostly work on film and TV now, but like those Final Fantasy games, if anybody knows, I'm sure plenty of people play those. I was like obsessed with them when I was most like middle school through high school and stuff. So those like intro scenes where it was like super detailed and all the characters really inspired me to lean towards visual effects. But once I went to Full Sail, I took a compositing class, and that I was like, this is what I really want to do. And I just liked how I feel like you can just move in any direction with it. You can work in any industry pretty much in compositing. So, and it's pretty creative because I love like being more creative. Like I kind of just draw, do my own things on the side. But that's where I began my journey into visual effects.
What does it mean to be a compositor in our industry? You know, what does your role entail, as it were?
Yeah, so compositors are pretty much our job is pretty much to take elements from every department and every step of the way of like a film or a TV show and combine it together. For example, like you would take the modeling and the lighting and the texturing and the footage, the film footage, or it can be completely CG as well, like Pixar and like Blue Sky and stuff. And you just get all those different departments together and you pretty much combine it, and you can do color correction. You make it look like it's shot through a camera, so you can add like depth of field, or like just things that you would see with your own eyes, and just make it look like it's real, pretty much. Like, for example, like even with Transformers, how they like have all the CG characters and then interacting with like real people. That's like another, you just want to make sure it doesn't even look like it's fake at all. And that's pretty much what compositors do. So our jobs are just to make everything look believable, and you wouldn't even question that it was like done through a whole computer. You would just think it's shot from like an actual camera and stuff.
That's when you know you've done a phenomenal job.
Exactly.
Now, I know you've brought some links to share with us today. And for those of you within our audience or within this Zoom room, we're going to post some links to some projects that Jessica has worked on that she's going to talk us through. Jessica, is there one in particular that you're most excited about sharing with the group that you'd like to talk through your involvement?
Yeah, the first one is a Facebook link, and that's pretty much a breakdown of Jungle Book. When I worked at, I was working at WETA in New Zealand, and I got to work on that film. So if everybody can open that one, I can talk about that one.
That sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
And how was it? You know, you talk about working at WETA, which obviously means that some travel was involved.
Yes.
How did you obtain an opportunity over there?
I was working in LA at the time too, and I was working on film over there as well first, and just I had a couple friends that were at Weta, and I was just looking for like a change of pace, and obviously Weta is just a really cool studio to work for as well. So I just had the opportunity from references and stuff, and to get a job over there, and I was there for almost 3 years, like 2.5 years, and yeah, it was crazy. It was a good experience. The studio is really cool, but definitely a lot different than America as far as like culture and stuff. But yeah, New Zealand, I always tell everybody to at least visit New Zealand because it's really like amazing. It doesn't even feel like a real place. It feels like a fit.
I actually didn't know that you were there for more than 2 years. That's amazing.
Yeah, like 2.5 years. It was good.
All right, so going back to this wonderful project that you'd like to talk us through.
Yes. So I'll just play through it from the beginning, whoever has it open. But we have Mowgli talking with the monkeys, and most of the work I did on this, if you get to the point where he's being carried away by the monkeys, and they have like the breakdown with all the blue screen guys like holding him and kind of dragging him across with the monkeys. Those are some of the shots I worked on. I pretty much had to recreate his body completely and add back like the shadows and remove all the markers on the blue screen and make sure he just looked like he was actually being dragged away by monkeys and not blue people's hands. So that was like most of the stuff I did on this project, and it was just cool to see it all break down. Yeah, I mostly did like green screen stuff and cleanup work while I was at Weta, so that was pretty fun.
And how big was the team of compositors that you worked with?
It's pretty big. Like I think their biggest department there is compositors. Probably at least like over 100, maybe 150 compositors, maybe most of it, because they kind of ramp up and down just depending on how many projects they have at the studio. So I think like for the whole company in total is probably like 400 people, sometimes almost 500 people. But yeah, they have a lot of compers there. I think that's like their biggest department.
Wow. Would you say that's pretty common within studios to have that many people?
At least big studios like that for sure. As far as like freelance, like how in New York it's been like a lot, well, not a lot different, but definitely not as big, I feel. I guess probably the biggest company I work for here in New York specifically is Rockstar. They're huge. They're probably about the same, probably like 500 people or so. Mm-hmm. But on the other end, I've worked at smaller studios like Brainstorm Digital, and they were just like 10 of us for like the whole company. So it's just like, so it could be either or, like it's such a big range, just depending on the company.
Thank you for sharing. I'm starting to get in some wonderful questions from our participants. So for those of you who do want to start asking your questions, please feel free to populate our Q&A. Tyrone is asking, what was your favorite film that you've ever worked on? That's a great question.
That is a good question. I worked on so many. Like, what was my favorite? Or
is there one
probably
that you've recently? Because I'm sure you have such a wide range of projects that are of interest to you.
Right. Well, I think Jungle Book, as I just showed, that was definitely one of the more fun ones I think I worked on. In more recent times, it hasn't even come out yet, but it got delayed because of 2020. I worked on In the Heights. I think I added that in the link too, and that one was pretty cool to work on too. That one was more of like I think that was the first musical I ever worked on, but everybody go check it out. But it was fun to work on too. And some of I've worked at commercial houses too, and those have been pretty interesting to work on too, because I never really worked on commercials until I came out to New York. But I just finished one like a week ago, and it was for a bank. It was like a bank commercial, but it did have a lot of CG in it and green screen cleanup and stuff like that. So that was actually pretty fun to work on too.
Do you have a preference for working as a compositor in commercial work versus episodic or feature work? You know, is there something that you lean more towards, or?
Yeah, I think I have more enjoyment working on film and episodics for the fact that I feel like you just get more time to like just get the work to like a more like I don't know, they just give you like a longer time frame to get your work to like a better spot. Like in commercials, they want it so fast. Like they want something done in like 2 days or like a day. But in film, like sometimes it can take like you'll be on the same shot for like 3 months or something because it's just like so much going on. And normally a film timeline is way longer than working on, you know, a commercial or a TV show or something. So I feel like I have more fun and enjoyment and get to like hone my skills more with that.
That makes sense. Thank you for sharing.
Okay.
Chad's wondering, because you did just mention In the Heights, he's wondering, you know, what type of work did you do on it?
Oh, that was mostly so there were some scenes I worked on that we had to pretty much change it was like shot in a set and we had to change the lighting to like nighttime because we all like in the background it was just like, you know, like looked like we were in a movie set or whatever. So you had to make it look like there was like a night sky, stuff like that. Another shot I worked on, it was like a lot of cleanup, like beauty work. You have to make them look like their skin is like flawless. And that is a lot of comp work sometimes. You gotta just make sure the makeup looks good or they just want like no acne or something. So there's some of that. So sometimes there'll be like a camera guy in the background. That was one of the shots I had to do. It was like a spinny shot and there was a cameraman in the mirror. So they're like, remove the cameraman in the background. So yeah, stuff like that. It was mostly the work in the Heights. And then they had like some shots for, there was like, you know, I had to comp in some fireworks or, you know, basic comp stuff too. But yeah, it's a wide range.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Thank you. You're all starting to ask a few more questions that speak to how Jessica got into the industry. So Nashim's wondering, when you first started on your first film, was that an easy process? Or did you discover a lot of things about yourself in the process?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like I discovered so much on the job more than like in school. I mean, school definitely helped. I think I learned a lot going to school and focusing specifically on compositing, but I feel like a lot of my skills I got from like the first job, and it wasn't too crazy, but I also had a lot of leads and supervisors that were also very friendly and helpful. That definitely helped me learn a lot and made it easier to transition from like from school to actual like production work. And they like, you know, it just, yeah, they gave all their knowledge. It definitely helped a lot. Just having good mentors pretty much.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. And leading into that a little bit more, Amanda's wondering, you know, what do you find to be the most exciting part about compositing? Like, what do you most enjoy about the process? And she's also wondering, like, is there any advice that you would perhaps, you know, offer our wonderful participants for those who'd like to go into the field and, you know, explore it as a skill set?
Yeah. What I like the most about compositing is I like that I feel, in my opinion, I feel like it's the most one of the most creative things in the process. Because I like that I have kind of like most of the freedom to make the shot overall look how we want it to look. Like, because sometimes you'll get lighting and the models and stuff, and it'll just look, you know, a certain way, and then you get like talk to the art director, like they'll tell you like a certain direction they want, and you can like completely just have all the creativity you want to make it how you want. And then like when it gets to the screen or whenever anybody sees it, you can just straight up tell them like, yeah, that was my shot because I did like almost everything. Or at least I did a lot, you know, but obviously, you know, you got the modelers and lighters and everything. And what right. And what was the other question? Like advice on like, oh, what were you gonna say?
Sorry. I didn't mean to speak over you. So the other part of Amanda's question is that of, you know, what is some advice that you could offer for those who are within the space right now who would like to approach compositing, but don't know where to begin and don't know where to start?
I guess, yeah, I didn't even like when I started, I didn't even know like compositing was a thing at all. Like the way I kind of got into it was just going to school for it and just like learning from my teachers, and they pretty much broke down all the different steps of what it takes to make a film or a TV show and stuff. And once I took the classes and learned about it, it was just interesting to me because that was what I like, being creative, and my background is more of like a creative background more than like a technical. So I know you can definitely be technical in it too. But I also think you can just another thing that helps me, like somebody could just start. You can also just look up like classes, like YouTube is definitely a good one. Just looking up on the Foundry, because the program I use for my compositing is Nuke. So they have a lot of things on their website. You can like get it for free or like for 30 days, and they have like so many classes on there. Another what was it? There's a website, I think it's FX PhD. That one's another one I used a lot to like just learn more about my compositing skills. And they pretty much have like on there, you can definitely they'll give you like assets to download, and they'll give you shots and everything, and they break it down so well. Like they'll break the classes down into like different like couple minutes breakdowns and stuff, and they'll go like step by step on how to like do everything in compositing. But yeah, there's just so many ways. You don't even have to like completely go to college for it, but there's so many things online now that you can just learn, teach it to yourself and stuff too.
Yeah, I appreciate those references. You've referenced, you know, FX PhD, you've referenced the Foundry, you've referenced YouTube references. Those are all really great, accessible websites for our participants. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
Jeremiah is wondering, you know, has there ever been an opportunity where you felt overwhelmed when going to a job, and how did you manage that? Is my question.
Yeah, I feel like yeah, definitely. There's some a lot of jobs have been overwhelming. I guess I guess the most overwhelming ones I've had, at least in most recent years, have been the commercial world. But those have been overwhelming because of, for me, just the fast pace of it, and just trying to get everything down for the clients, because they're like kind of always hounding you. That's any job though. The clients are always hounding you. But the way I handle it is I just try to just try to focus on the work, and just realize, you know, I'm doing what I physically can. Like I can't go faster than what I can do right now, and you're not a robot or anything. So, you know, you just have to like take a step back sometimes and just like breathe and realize, you know, this is the best and the fastest I'm doing, and this is all I can do. And don't try to like overextend yourself or feel like you're not good or anything like that. Just try to take a step. And yeah, every job like has like crazy clients or crazy people you have to work with. But yeah, I just try to not focus on it too much and just take a breath.
Sometimes it's easier said than done, but it is good.
I know.
We all struggle with that on occasion. So
definitely.
Thanks for your candidness, I should say. Before I sort of ask you a few more questions that are coming through, wanted to know if there was a third project or another opportunity, one of the other links that you've shared with us that you'd love to expand upon a little bit for our participants. Is there something in particular that you're attached to, or share?
The second link, I could talk about that one. That was one of the projects I worked on at the mill. It was a concept or a car type thing for Tokyo Motor Show that was going to be in Tokyo. So this video just pretty much has like a whole, it's kind of like a commercial, but it was more like a concept for a car show. And a lot of the work I did on this are like if you play through it, a lot of the shots where the lady is holding the phone, I worked on that. A lot of the shots that are kind of a little bit more towards the end, where they have the lady driving inside the car, I worked on like pretty much all of those shots. And yeah, this was pretty cool. I like this because this was probably one of the first like heavy CG projects I worked on. It was cool to kind of integrate live action with CG, even though it was mostly CG.
Mhm.
But yeah, and also since it was just like a concept, it was like pretty creative. Like kind of had a lot of freedom with it because it was just more for the concept for the car show than anything. But yeah.
And how much of a time frame did you have working on it? You know, what was sort of the schedule? What did the schedule look like?
Yeah, this one was a little not too stressful, but the time frame in total, we had to finish it in like a month and a week, so like 5 weeks pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's a challenging project that you've worked on? What is one of the more challenging projects that you've worked on?
Probably this. I put another video here. It's have a Hobbit, and I think that was definitely one of my more difficult shows. Yeah, I was. Especially, well, if you go on the video and if you go to the 2-minute mark, it's the third YouTube video in this link. It's a part where the city's all on fire and there's like a tower that one of the main characters is standing on, and I had to do a lot of cleanup work on this, and it took like a long time. Like I was probably on one of these shots for like a month because it was a lot of like wire rig removals and like removing markers and just like cleaning up stuff on the guy and the camera pretty much spinning in a circle. So it takes like a lot of time because of the parallax and stuff. And yeah, I feel like this is probably one of the more difficult shots I ever worked on.
Well, that's convenient then that I asked you that question.
Right. It was the next video.
Nice little segue there. So this week, I know we were talking about this, and you're currently at Powerhouse.
Yes.
VFX. What does Powerhouse do? Or if you don't mind just sort of expanding upon them as a studio.
Yeah. They
You've been there a few times as a freelancer.
Yeah. I was there.
Trying to get you back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, now I'm back. But I was there last year for like the beginning half of the year and towards the end of the year. But they mostly work on episodics. They also do films as well. So I feel like they do more episodics than film. But yeah, they're I like them. They're really good company. Everybody's so nice. And yeah, they're expanding now. They just keep they're getting a lot of work right now, which is good. And it seems to be mostly episodics at the moment.
Awesome.
And yeah, they're remote, like I guess every studio is now. So that's been nice as well. And yeah.
And what does your day-to-day look like there when you freelance with them? You know, when everything from when you get an initial booking, like what does that look like?
Yeah, so they'll just book you, like the recruiter will reach out and ask you like when your availability is, and then you can just let them know, and then they'll book you from, as long as they need you. It's mostly it seems just kind of based off of the project that you're on, like they'll book you based on the project. And yeah, they do artist meetings every morning just to kind of like check in with everybody, see where we're all at, like kind of keep us up to date on our work. Then we have dailies, which is you'll submit the work you've been doing, and the supervisor will go over it with you. It's like more towards the end of the day, and they'll just give you notes and tell you like if you're going in the right direction or if you need to, hit any other notes or if there's any client notes or whatever. So that's pretty much what dailies is. And yeah, and then most of the rest of the day you're just kind of working, like doing your own thing. And they have they use Shotgun, which is where they where you can look and see what shots they give you to work on for which projects, and they'll just have your name on it, and then you can just pretty much go through that and pick what shot you want to, or they'll let you know like what's the priority, like what's more important to work on first, but they'll give you kind of like a list of shots to hit. So that's how they would do it over here.
Awesome, thank you. And do you find that, is it easier to work remotely, or did you mostly prefer to work in-house? I always like to ask, some of the artists that we chat to throughout these past few weeks, some of them, enjoy a bit more of a hybrid, being a little bit remote, but also being a little bit in person. Others really love working remotely 100%, don't miss the commute, don't miss the travel.
Right.
And
I feel,
perspective.
yeah. I like, I don't know, it's been really nice just not having to commute anymore. I've been liking the in-house or just working from home. But I feel like it would be nice to have a mixture. Like if I did commute back in, I don't think I would want to go back to like doing it every day. Maybe like once or twice a week, and then the rest of the week I work from home. I think that would be cool. At least that's what I would prefer.
Nice, it's a nice balance, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Now, a question for our participants. Have you always been a freelancer? Have you ever been full-time within a studio?
Yeah, I've mostly been freelance. Like even with Weta, even though I was there for a long time, they kind of just do like permalance. Like most of the artists there are freelancers, even if they've been there for a couple years. When I was at Rockstar Games here in the city, and I was staff there for like a year and a half. But pretty much besides that, I've been freelancing for most of my. Oh, and my first job, I worked at the Digital Domain, the one that was in Florida that got shut down. That was like the one I got right out of college. But I was staff there too. But pretty much everywhere else has been freelance.
And what do you appreciate about the freelance life? Or what are some, maybe some positives that you might have about the world of freelance? Or perhaps, also maybe on the other side of the spectrum, what are some negative experiences that you might have had within the world of freelance?
Yeah, I feel like my favorite thing about freelance is I just kind of like the freedom you have you don't have to stay committed to one place, because I don't know, I just like to have the freedom to kind of do different things. Like I don't have to always stay and working on episodic, so I don't always have to stay working on film or commercial. So doing that, I get to like freelance, you kind of get to pick and choose like what you want to do and at what time and stuff. I guess the cons are just sometimes it might not have work. Like the kind of like you don't know if like 1 month it might be a slow period, and then you just don't have work for like a month or two or something. But that's how it was with COVID, I guess. But I know probably everybody's been going through that. But now it's starting to pick up again, so that's good.
Yeah, it definitely feels, I'm definitely aligned with what you're sharing. It definitely feels like there's a lot of energy, a lot of positive energy about the opportunities around different studios and how much work is around us. So that's a very optimistic way of looking at things. Do you feel like you would perhaps want to stay freelance, or are you ever interested in perhaps pursuing a more full-time opportunity?
Yeah, I still would. I would like a full-time thing, but as of right now, I feel like freelance is what I want to focus on at the moment. But I do eventually want to do staff again for sure. But I don't know. Yeah, as of right now, I like the freedom after doing staff positions before. I'm like right now, the freelance world is definitely more appealing to me.
I understand that. And I relate to that myself, because I think, as you were saying, that it's been really nice to have a wide range of variety or a wide range of experiences within the industry. And, from commercials to episodic to features.
Yeah.
I know you can't talk about the current project that you're working on, because obviously within the studio environment, a lot of projects are very heavily NDA'd. But are you enjoying the episodic side of things, being back within that world? I know you were hinting at that earlier.
Yeah. Definitely. Yeah, it's been a little less stressful. And yeah, it's been nice going back to episodics. Yeah, it's been really cool. And I like working for the company I'm at too. So it makes it like even more of a plus.
Yeah, it's always nice to come back to a studio, especially when you know everyone and your environment. And
exactly.
So just a couple more questions for you. I'm conscious that, obviously it's important to me, even if you're at the most senior level, you're still pursuing that next step within your career. You're obviously a very talented compositor at this time. What would you like to see your role evolving into? What's your next step outside of, within the world of compositing, the next step within the world of VFX, or what do you hope to, or what do you aspire for yourself?
Yeah, my ultimate goal would be doing like on-set supervising, like working with directors and just being on set to help with shooting stuff and kind of give them more direction. But yeah, that hopefully will be in the future. But yeah, that's where I want to go. Like lead to supervisor, on-set supervising would be really cool. Yeah, I think that would be great.
No, I think that sounds wonderful. Have you ever been
Yeah.
on set before, previously?
I haven't. I've talked to some places about having the opportunity to do that, but it hasn't like actually happened yet. But yeah, that would be really cool. Get the opportunity to do that.
It sounds exciting. So yeah, I think they're definitely, it's all about timings. It's all about sort of how those opportunities evolve. So two final questions. Obviously, it's really important for us to offer advice and support to that of our wonderful participants. I kind of wanted to, it's a two-parter, so I'll just start with the first element of the question. What are some words of support that you could offer our wonderful participants for those, you kind of hinted upon it earlier, who want to enter the industry, who may not follow what is perceived to be a more traditional career of studying the arts within, an art school? What are some words of advice outside of perhaps YouTube and such that you could offer them, such that they could learn a bit more about the industry, as it were?
I guess just try to, I don't know. I'm like trying to think what else you could do.
Well, while you think about that, I'll ask my second part of the question, because it does kind of overlap a little bit, because these are somewhat, they've been very uncertain times, and it's been quite an intensive year, or quite an intense year for so many sharing this space. What are some words of advice or words of encouragement that you can also offer as coping mechanisms during these times, which, naturally, as we take each day as it comes, it's a lot more brighter, it feels a lot more optimistic. But, what are some coping mechanisms or strategies that you could offer our participants within the space on, I think I kind of said it, I sort of asked the question in two different
No, it's all good. I guess, definitely just keep, I feel like it's so many cliches, but you just can't, you just got to keep going, and you just have to try to motivate yourself. I mean, I guess the way I try to just handle was like how, the world's been, and just like trying to stay positive, or at least trying to stay motivated to keep going, is just keeping up with, making routines through the day, and trying to keep doing research on like your craft. If you want to get better with it, I just, keep doing practicing, definitely watching like tutorials or whatever, keeping up to date with what's going on with the visual effects world, definitely, just keeping up with like LinkedIn or social media, Twitter, anything like that. I just that's like what I mostly did. So I guess just for other spaces that, I guess just using social media really is what helped me kind of stay up to date with everything, and kind of like another way to keep up to date with like compositing and visual effects in the world, and everything like that, besides YouTube and the Foundry and all that.
No, I really appreciate those suggestions. I think you highlighted upon something that I've been chatting to some of my colleagues at the animation project earlier today, which is that of keeping routine. I think that's incredibly useful strategy. With keeping a morning routine, keeping an evening routine, so as to break up the day.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I had to do to keep my sanity, for sure.
And also just constantly researching, keep your LinkedIn profile up to date, or keep your Instagrams up to date with the latest work that you've worked on. And all of that genuinely applies. So really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Well, listen, it's been such a genuine pleasure having you. You've been incredible, and your effervescent personality is very well recognized within the space. So we
Thank
really
you.
you taking the time to spend some time with us today, especially as you know are kicking off this new booking and you've got a busy schedule. We genuinely appreciate you getting to know us and sharing your
Yeah,
insight and your wisdom.
of course. No, thank you for having me. Yeah, it was very nice. It was nice to meet you all too.
Thank you. Well, listen,
Yeah.
we hope you'll stay in touch with us, as
Yeah.
we'll certainly be in touch with our end. So wishing
Right. Sounds good. Definitely.
take care. Speak soon.
All right. See ya.
And as I like to say every week, I will happily pass the baton on over to the lovely Lyndon and the equally lovely Lisa. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Kat. And thank you, Jessica. Wow, so amazing to meet you, hear your story, life as a compositor, and what it's like to freelance, and definitely taking away that we all need to go visit New Zealand.
Yes, yes, definitely, definitely. It sounds nice. I'd love to visit. And again, thank you so much, Kat and Jessica.
Well, Lyndon, it looks like we've come to our ending here. I can't believe it. So much amazingness jam-packed in on our time together. So it's only fitting that we would celebrate because we're going to be ending out our halfway mark this 5th week through our creative engagement workshop, all the amazingness that we soaked in today. So we're going to invite you all for our closing ritual to take a moment and to celebrate all of your accomplishments, because you guys are amazing and have been doing so much amazing work. So we're just going to take this opportunity in your space, wherever you are, to use a movement and a sound. So maybe Lyndon and I are gonna role model for you. So to celebrate with a movement and a sound. Woohoo is mine.
That's funny. I was actually gonna say the same thing. You're reading my mind, Lisa.
Oh, man, but you had a different movement there though.
Like this, yeah. Woohoo.
Amazing. So thank you, everyone. Go and celebrate yourselves. So well deserved.
Yes, yes, it's definitely well deserved. And again, we've come to the end of today's mega group. As always, please remember to stay connected with TAP through our website as well as our social media. And again, thank you for joining the Made in New York Animation Project Mega Group.
Stay well, everyone. Enjoy your spring break.
Enjoy spring break. Take care.